is the health sector, where probably the government, our own government, should be spending a lot of money. But you can see most of these hospitals, we depend on donor aid even for things like basic immunization for children, medicine, treatment for HIV, and it's not just in Kenya, it's across the region. Definitely, from a policy standpoint, we are not prepared for this withdrawal of aid from the US.
I think what Meshach and the others call the third sector has always been really badly prepared for such like a change. For the longest time, the third sector, the civil society, has really never thought outside of the box on how they actually fundraise. If you see how civil society works actually in the West, you realize that their way of resource mobilization is radically different from how we do it in Africa. On the other side, you realize that the donors are even targeted individually. You know, you will actually have individual donors coming on board. But here, of all, how we actually design the civil society is such that we are dependent on specific donors. And sometimes, by the way, even the NGOs we register sometimes are specifically targeting a certain donor. So in case that donor actually exists, then that's it. A little bit of resilience, I think that is one of those things we needed to actually build, because the third sector complements what government does. Now, from where we sit here, I think that I'm really not given to the idea that it's completely done, because first of all, USAID is actually established pursuant to an act of the Congress. So there will be some level of, there will be need for congressional concurrence eventually. But of course, this disturbance is actually going to be quite costly. And even when USAID comes back, it will definitely not be the USAID we know. Even though, as a person who's worked in the region, I have a feeling that USAID is normally beyond USAID. What USAID does is beyond USAID. And for purposes of
television, admitted it. Politicians in the US have admitted that that has been the front for CIA.
Yeah, so literally, it's beyond. So it's a little bit not easy to actually just wish it away. Truth is that America is an enterprise that is 246 years old. I do not think that Donald Trump and Elon Musk can actually come and reorganize an enterprise as old as 246 years. It's impossible for actually just for them to work in. I know he spoke about draining the swamp, but there's the tyranny of the bureaucracy. A little bit far much more than they can actually chew. It's not as straight as people will actually look at.
That's the hope we're having, yeah. That
it's not the hope. That is the reality, because number one, it speaks to some core, the core of American foreign policy. Number one, if we literally do away, if they do away with USAID, there's going to be an erosion on liberties and freedoms, because literally that is the front that actually fights it. You here are looking at it from the health perspective, but there's so much more on that. Just remember that when colonialism came here, they first of all brought us religion, they brought us hospitals, then they brought us education, they gave us social services, and then they moved on to what they wanted. So literally, it's not easy. So there will be a threat on liberties. I don't think that the US is actually willing to cede ground. As much as he speaks about America first, I saw what they did in Somalia the other day, and I'm like, there was no difference between him and Biden after all.
Yeah. And yes, Kenya may still hold on to hope that something will change. But Kathy, we are in